back in the lot again. Um, it turns out it wasn't YouTube that screwed up yesterday. It was my phone. Because over the course of the day, Lady G and I message each other. And then I get about halfway through the day and I look and I'm wondering, okay, how did you come, what's going on? Because I'm getting notifications, but then I go to look and none of my messages are on the screen. It would hit sending, and then the second I went to something else for more than a minute, I come back, my messages were gone and never sent. Sure enough, about 3/4 of the day, I reset my phone, restarted it again, and suddenly everything was back up. The live menu, my menus for YouTube are back, and my messenger is working again. So, so it's just the wonders of technology, and people wonder why I don't really fear AI. Come on, AI, what's it going to do? Make your toaster rebel against you? It's like, because I remember, if any of you who've lived through Y2K should never fear AI, because remember, everything was going to turn off, planes were going to fall out of the sky, all because a digit on a computer wasn't programmed to be there, yada, 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 bang, bang, bang. And it turns out absolutely nothing happened. I like that security circling, trying to be intimidating. Dude, yellow flashers are not intimidating unless you're in a wrecked car and you're the tow truck come to get you. All right, it doesn't work. All right, so back to this whole thing. Now, somebody posted something in the comment box. Look, I don't want to disparage your source. I don't want to sound mean, but the whole Poppy was going to be the fugitive doctor thing was a fan fiction theory. It was a bogus leak. It was also a bogus leak that came out on another forum. And no, it was never going to happen. Because, as I've said before, I've said this a billion times, and it's proved out to be true. RTD hates it when other writers write over his stuff, or, therefore, he was not going to write over anything Chibnall did. That's how I knew the Timeless Children were never going to go away. Because he was really, really pissed when Moffat brought back Gallifrey. Now, they did iron things out. They did settle it. They weren't going to permanent, armed warfare over it. But still, he was really not happy about it. And I've had people do this to me too, because I used to participate in Neverending Stories, and someone tried to overwrite one of my characters because a bunch of people at a con threw a fit over it. And I'm like, dude, it's a fan fiction Neverending Story, which means it doesn't really apply to official canon. So why are you rewriting my shit because a bunch of people threw a fit at a con? And someday I'll go into that story and how that happened. It involved Transformers. Well, here's the thing. I'm beginning to wonder if a lot of the stuff that RTD, thank you, Mark, for bringing that up, because I'm beginning to wonder if a lot of the shit that, that RTD was bringing up about the Sonic, about this, about that, was actually shit he was being spoon-fed by Disney. Because the Sonic looking too much like a gun kind of really rings like a Disney, sounds like something a Disney advisor would say. Well, there were a lot of good things, Dr. Mad Studio. There were a lot of great moments, and there were a lot of bad moments. And that's what it is with Doctor Who. But this last season, this last couple series, made absolutely no sense to me, really. Yeah, that whole thing about Billy Piper being an alternate Rose Tyler looking for the David Tennant's Doctor again. All that's fan fiction. There's been nothing like that. As far as I know, this is what's going on. We're in limbo. Or as I said in the title, we be in limbo, kids. There's been no commissioning, no plans for any filming. So anyone who's telling you that Doctor Who's been relegated to a bunch of Christmas specials over the next few years. Nothing is on the table right now. Nada. Zero. Zilch. Nothing has been commissioned. The only thing they got going out right now is going to be The War Between the Land and the Sea, and I have an eerie feeling that's going to be a limited edition miniseries, and then that'll be it. Okay, I can understand that, yeah, Dr. Mad Studio. That's why I left Trek fandom also. Yeah, I can understand a lot of those reasons. Yeah, I had a lot of those problems in the Trek fandom. It's one of the reasons I left Trek fandom, because there were a lot of egos, a lot of this, a lot of that, and plus when I'm not going to lie to you, when anything that has to do with Star Trek post 2009, other than Picard, I did not watch, as I knew they were going to follow the Abrams Kevlin storyline, which was a pile of shit. But exactly, like I said, I still watch classic Trek. I still watch everything else. Oh, and sadly, I just found out yesterday we lost Brenton Hancock. Now, for you people, did I say people? For you people who don't know that name, Brenton Hancock was in a lot of Doctor Who. I'm not kidding, just type his name in. He was in several Doctor Who episodes, but a lot of us know him as Paul. I believe the name was Paul Morrow from Space 1999, the first season. And so it was very sad to hear that he passed. He loved doing like conventions and stuff like that. I saw his name popping up everywhere for a while. I just wish I could have got to meet him at least once. Oh, we had Val Kilmer here at a convention a few years ago. Now I'm regretting like hell that I didn't at least go up and talk to him for a bit, because this was years ago, back before he had lost his voice and everything. And but yeah, we lost Brenton Hancock. That was very sad to hear. Apparently he passed on May 30th. Yeah, I got to meet Ron Glass just shy of a year before he passed away. A lot of you knew him as Shepherd Book from Firefly, but he appeared in many other things as like Barney Miller and stuff like that. A lot of different shows over the years. Ron Glass, very kind man, very nice, very easy to talk to. We got to talk to him for a few minutes, and I know I always have that regret later on. The problem is, you only got so much money to get so much stuff, and I hate to prioritize people or anything like that. And like I said, I paid out $100 to meet Jodie Whittaker for all of 10 seconds, but I'm glad I did. Well, maybe 30 seconds. I'm very glad I did, because sure enough, she has been back. I think she's watching Haven this again. And yeah, I met Walter Koenig once. I also met Nichelle Nichols years ago, back in when Cleveland, this was way back when they were having stuff at the convention center, way before the new cons came in. It was a Creation Con, to give you an idea how long ago that was. And I have her signature in my one thing put away. But yeah, back to Doctor Who. I'm not kidding. When I met Jodie, I was gobsmacked. I literally just could not find words. I was like shocked. I'm like, because this is one of the doctors. I was like in the back of my mind, no, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to get a chance to meet Jodie Whittaker in person. And then boom, just like I would have loved to have met Peter Capaldi, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. Like Tom Baker would be like my bucket list, but sadly he don't travel anymore, because of his health. And he's in his 90s now. You know, come on. I know. She's just a force of energy. She was very kind, very considerate. I could barely say a word, and oh man. At least I was wearing my Jodie Whittaker shirt when I met her. She was kind of tickled about that. I could tell. Um, so yeah, like I said, there's a lot. I got a lot of regrets about people I've never met, and that I had a chance to. What can you do? It's life. But sadly, yeah, we lost Brenton Hancock May 30. If you don't know who that is, Google it. It's very important to sci-fi history. Several roles in Doctor Who as well as Space 1999, and matter of fact, he had a brief appearance in Spearhead from Space. I remember he was a reporter at the beginning. He was also in a Tom Baker episode, Planet of Evil, I believe it was. I'm just going off the top of the brain noggin. Okay, but let's get back to Doctor Who currently, what's going on, before I have to sign out here in a few minutes. Nothing's on the table. Nothing's been commissioned. No, there were never any plans for Poppy to turn out to be the fugitive Doctor. That was a pipe dream. That was fan fiction. That was... Nobody official ever said that. And from what I heard, there were 2 different endings of this episode that were filmed as a just in case. I think the latter one was filmed later, because as we saw from Doctor Who filming locations, suddenly you've got all these reshoots and stuff going on out of nowhere. And I think that's when Ncuti made up his mind, no, I'm not coming back. Because, and from what I'm hearing, that was not a joy, it was a heavy decision, but given some... all right, look, I don't want to say it was a major factor, but let's just say, from what I'm hearing, toxic fandom played a part in it. And it saddens me that, if that's true, Well, like I said, I say the same thing about Star Trek, Mad Studio, so I can't blame you. I can't hop on you. Star Trek kind of left me, and I didn't leave it. I had issues with egos in the fandom, the fan clubs and stuff like that, and then 2009 came, and they completely decided, instead of just doing their own movie universe, we have to drag in the original continuity and kill it. And as far as I'm concerned, J.J. Abrams has committed more crimes against science fiction than anybody. No, I don't think it was Disney. No, I think it was. I don't think he was. No, he was not fired. I don't know how that story got started, other than by a bunch of bad tabloid YouTube channels, and of course the Sun and blah 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 and tabloid rags. Ncuti did not get fired. Every Doctor, with the exception of Jodie, who is the only one I know of that had a multi-year contract playing the Doctor, had a 1 year with an option to pick up, and Ncuti decided not to pick up. But can you blame him? Everything's uncertain. Plus, well, a lot of the problem, Mad Studio, is the fact nobody wants to touch Doctor Who. I think the only reason the show was even on this long is because they literally talked Chibnall into running it, and they did finally later reveal that what I said was true, was that if he had not have picked it up, it was on hiatus. It was done. And then RTD stepped in because, once again, nobody else wants to touch it. As Stephen Moffat aptly put it, it's become a poison chalice. And it's the same thing with the actors playing the lead role. I was shocked they got Jodie in there. Because, with him being such an up-and-coming personality, especially in theater, film, and all that. But that's the way the show's become. No matter what you do, no matter how you act, you've got guys out there like the Nardi, the drunkard, and all that who are never going to be satisfied. They're going to rally up a bunch of simpletons to come do simple things to you. Well, I just looked at the time. I got to get running. I could go on about this for hours, but I got to get inside and go to work. So, everyone, please be kind, be calm, be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch you all later. Reminder, yes, we are doing the Omega Files this Friday. It'll be at 8 o'clock. We'll be doing, the series finale, and oh boy, that one's going to blow up. I'm going to try to contain myself. And then, of course, Saturday morning, we will be here because I have to work on the 7th. So, take care. Ta-ta. Goodbye for now, everybody.